Hi, welcome to another Chief Pigskin Home Clinic. I am Dylan Mack, one of your Chief Pigskin videographers, also the head football coach at Elmwood Park High School. And I am ecstatic today to be sitting down and talking ball with, unfortunately, an Ohio State fan, but Paul Ernest. Paul Ernest, thank you so much for being on Chief Pigskin Home Clinic.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I appreciate you having me very much.
Yeah. So, Coach, you were at Gentry. You got kind of turned the program around, doing some great things. A lot of stuff that I've seen and saw, people were commenting about you. A lot of great things. Ended up moving to Mineral Springs High School for this year. What's kind of your expectations for the season? Hoping we have one, obviously.
But just trying to get, make a difference in some kids' lives through the game. That's kind of my deal. Got to Gentry. They were a struggling program, and I stayed there 5 years. In the last 3, we made the playoffs, which was the first time in the school's program's history to qualify 3 consecutive years for the playoffs. Had a lot of good things. All-state quarterback every year, or every quarterback I had was all-state by the time they got out of there. Moved the ball really well. We're doing some good things. Had a good thing on the horizon, I think, for the program. And then with the pandemic, my wife, I'd moved her 5 hours away from mom. And with the pandemic, we started looking for jobs to get her closer to home. And so I landed at Mineral Springs High School, smallest classification in the state of Arkansas and the smallest school that plays football. So it's a pretty, a lot of people call it professional step backwards. But when I got to see what was important during this whole deal with family, it was important to get back. And got a ton of athletes walking around this place, and they've struggled a little bit. So hopefully we can get in here and do some good things.
Well, and just because you're at a small school doesn't mean that there's small expectations, right?
That's correct. We got big players. We're looking for big things.
Right. So one of the big things that people, every time I kind of looked your name up and kind of seen more of you, was kind of your run scheme. And that's what you're going to present today. A lot of people were like, Coach, you get him on, you got to get him talking about his run plays.
Well, I think it's more, I don't know. I don't think I do anything. I don't do anything different. I know that. Maybe how I go about implementing it, how I go about wording it is a little bit different, I've found out. But we're very multiple, I've found, and don't mean to be. We kind of hide things for our players inside of other plays, and I'll talk a little bit about that, how we get to that. And we call things families of plays instead of individual plays, and it just works well for us. With kids that have to play both ways, minimal practice time. I usually only spend about 40 to 45 minutes on offense, and we throw it a lot. So when we throw it a lot, my kind of philosophy is, we need to spend about 80% of our time in practice on passing the football. So our run game has to be very simple, but we'll look up at the end of the year, we'll be about 60-40 run to pass without intending to be, because it's just what we end up being good at. So it's just something that I guess we've just evolved into and would love to share it with people and hopefully make other people better.
Excellent. And I get a lot of flack on Chief Pigskin, being an air raid guy on a wing T kind of channel. So I am definitely happy to hear that you're winging the ball over the field. But they tell me all the time, they're like, well, you guys never run the ball. And that's, I brought a guy on last time about talking a little pin and pull, and then bringing you on. I just want to show him, no, there's more to the air raid than just throwing the ball,
Oh, definitely. I'm rooted in the wing T. I came up in the wing T, and you will see anybody who's a wing T guy will say that's simply wing T football. So, and they're right. So I can't really argue with that. So I'm excited about it.
All right, Coach. Well, without further ado, I'm excited. I'm jumping at the bit to see what you got here and hear it. So you take it away here, Coach.
All right. We're going to talk about today. We're going to start in just the counter family. We start there because to me that's the easiest one for me to adapt to other things that we'll do. So I'm going to go into a share screen here to a presentation, and hopefully I'll get it to work. Sometimes I get all right. So we're going to talk about counter. And when I talk about counter, I'm not tied into any one play, and I'll get to that on the family part. But why counter? we're a personnel-based offense, so we like to throw a lot of looks out there at our defenses and make them prepare for a bunch. But in reality, all we're doing is swapping a person out. We have one guy who's an adjuster in our personnel group and formations. We get to 10 personnel, 0 personnel, 20, 30, 21, 12. We get to all that using just swapping people out. The counter is a great option versus any front. There will be some things that you run into. If you don't throw the football or aren't effective enough to get the football and get people out of the box, you will run into some 7-man box, 5-man, 5 downs covered up. It gets hard to run really any football play, from a spread set. So we don't see that much because we do throw it a lot. But when we do see it, we just, we don't run counter. People are going to say, what do you do against this double bear front with 8 guys in the box? Well, I'm gonna throw it out to my running back, or I'm gonna get it out of the box, get away from those guys. So the other thing is, it doesn't require a great amount of time to be effective. The way we practice it, we spend about 15 minutes to 10 minutes a day in our run game, and we use 3 run families. So each day is kind of assigned a run family that we're going to work on, and we get better at it throughout the year and throughout the week. It's easily adaptable, so that the family, this is the biggest family of plays I have is the counter family. And then it accommodates all of our families of RPOs, from pre-snap to post-snap to in-mesh to post-read in the counter game. It definitely accommodates you to really focus on one run, but still be able to attack with all forms of RPOs. And then the multiple backfield actions, and then all the motion tags we do with it make it look very much like wing T football, and very much something that a defense has to prepare for, gets their eyes moving, and kind of when you don't have several run schemes, it's good to get people's eyes moving and feet moving off their keys. So that's why we run counter. Some negatives: it does rely on movement by the play side tackle, particularly when they say they're a hard counter team and they're going to put people in B gap and they're going to fight out against pressure. We have some things that we do with that. We don't like it as much, but we will have a call that we give our play side tackles that give them the ability to vacate that guy and not have to move him. And we're going to move our trap, our kick, our read, whatever we're doing as part of our counter family to that guy. And then when you're in the GH, we call our H-back an S for the super back, because he is our adjuster. So he has to be able to play tight end, wide receiver, running back, fullback. So we call him the super back, so that it kind of gives them a little bit of pounding of the chest and make them feel like they want to learn it because they want to be called super. And then the trap technique takes time. People talk a lot about counter, and they talk about, we're going to get a kick here, and if he squeezes, we're going to log here, and we're going to do all that. We call it a trap. We call it a trap technique because we want to trap that defender either inside or out. We really don't care. If he squeezes hard, we want to hit him with the inside shoulder. Those guys that try to squeeze hard and spill everything. We want to go ahead and take that and go ahead and just trap him inside, and then not let him cross face to the outside. And then if he's going to be a hard flyer and he's going to try to get upfield, we want to be able to get him with our upfield shoulder and kick him out and run up inside of him. So we're very careful about how we term it, so that we don't have our guys saying, I can't kick that guy, can't kick that guy. Well, don't kick him, trap him. Trap him in if he's squeezing, trap him out if he's logging. So that's why we call it that. Play families. I get a lot of questions about that when they say, what plays do you run? And I'm talking to people at clinics and stuff. We run a family of plays, not necessarily specific plays. This is kind of the answer to how we find time to practice everything we do. We'll go out there and people will watch us run. They'll say, how many plays do you run? And I'll say 4. And they'll say, well, you ran this and this and this and this. And they'll get this big long list of things that we do. And to me, that's counter. I mean, that's counter. And the way we practice it focuses on front side and backside pods in our run game. And that allows us to do that very efficiently and keep the learning down to the people that are relevant to the play. We teach players to focus only on the things that affect them. And it doesn't matter how you word it, doesn't matter how you say it. It's whatever your terminology is can be applied to a play family philosophy. So here are 3 play families, and our number 1 play family is our counter family. Some people call this their power family, and that's fine with me. I just prefer to call it counter because it's our number one play. If we were a big power team, if I still had S-backs that were the type of guys that could dig out defensive ends and kick that guy, it would be definitely the power family. But I've struggled to find those guys everywhere, year in and year out, particularly at small schools. Those guys are often called guards. So, they would be great fullbacks. But I need them up front. So I've had to kind of find ways to get guys that maybe don't fit the body type of a true tight end or a true fullback to be able to stay with what I want to do. And the answer to that was counter, make sure that the guard's kicking and that the S is leading through. So basically for the play families, it works like this. On our counter family, we are going to have a seal inside by the play side tackle, play side guard, and a fill backside with the center. No matter how you slice it, that's what they're doing. People can do it many different ways. You can put a double team on the B gap defender. If your main run play is zone, which I've done in the past, I zone the front side away and then just pull so that we're always working basically whatever our number one run play is. For us, we're a gap scheme team. We run no zone whatsoever. So we are strictly gap. So our front side rules are gap down backer for our play side tackle, gap down backer for our play side guard, and fill for the pulling guard for our center. On the backside of our counter scheme, our backside guard is pull and trap, first thing outside the play side tackle. And our backside tackle's rule is slam and hinge. He's going to slam down into B gap, and then he's going to hinge and not chase high. Our S back, no matter where he aligns, has one rule, and that is get to the play side linebackers, play side inside linebackers. So that allows us to move him. We call it a wheel technique if he's backside, and we call it a seal technique if he's front side. But he's going right to that guy. We really don't talk about that very much. We just talk about how to get there, who his assignment is basically. And if he's at tight end, if he's at S-back, if he's at the running back, that's his rule. Whether he's a sniffer, whether he's B gap, whether he's C gap, D gap, doesn't really matter to me where you want to put him. That's his rule. Our second family is our ISO family, and that's just going to be a base on the play side. You're going to base by number. The play side guard has number 1 from the center. Play side tackle has number 2 from the center. The center has number 1 backside, and then the guard is what we call folding to the inside linebacker, and then again, slam and hinge on the backside, and then our pin and pull sweep rules, we have all those in. So the way we teach those is we go to pods, and we teach those in front side rules and backside rules, and then we teach the adjustments. So as you're going to see here today in the counter, our backside adjustments in counter are tag. So if we call whatever we're calling it, whether you're a number system guy, whether you're calling it, train and loco for left and right. I've heard that called. I've heard it Arkansas and Razorback. I've heard it Alabama and Tide. Whatever you're calling it, doesn't matter to me. We're going to add tag to the backside as an adjustment to counter. And what tag means is tackle and guard. So now we're into counter trade, but for our front side guys, their front side rules haven't changed. So to a lot of people, we're running 2 different plays. They'll say, so you run GH counter. We run counter. You run GT counter. We run counter. Yes, we run all that, but it's in our counter family because I don't want my front side tackle whose rule stays the same to think he's doing anything different, because now I have to call it from loco or train. I now have to call it Casey and Jones because it relates to choo-choos. And, I don't want to do that. So I just give tag. What tag means is tackle and guard are now pulling. I teach my S-back when the tackle and guard are pulling that he has a rule adjustment. For the most part, I always just trade assignments. So the tackle is now pulling instead of the S-back. So he's going to, instead of slam and hinge, he's going to split the backside, and he's going to take the tackle's job on the regular counter play. I can call counter with dart, and dart simply means that the backside tackle and backside guard are exchanging assignments. So as we go through this, you're going to see that there are different things that put us in different plays that other people run that I feel like falls under the play family because it keeps the front side rules the same. We also run power read. We get to power read by calling it a name that associates that with our backfield mesh. And we teach our guard that when he hears that word, the front side's still the same. It's still counter for everybody but the pulling guard. And now instead of kicking, he goes into his wheel technique. If we want to run power, we call counter, and we just call switch. So now the guard and the S are switching assignments. So if I were calling that loco and train, I would call, if I wanted power right, I would call train switch. And now just the guard and S are switching. That might be because my S back is on the play side and is having trouble getting to the play side inside linebacker. So I want to get him on a quick kick at that end. And that's just kind of how we do it and get to what people feel like is a big set of plays. But for us and how we practice it, it is basically one play family and one play to the front side. So that's our counter family right there. The traditional plays included in the counter family are GH counter, GT counter, traditional power, power read, bash read, and speed option. All those things are included in power in the counter family for us. All right, so this is our rules. So when I go in any place, I got my playbook looks like this. I'm going to have rules: man inside, on or off the line of scrimmage, inside gap down backer for the play side tackle, play side guard is man inside, on or off the line of scrimmage, inside gap down backer, and then the centers rules and so on and so forth. The RPOs that can be tagged to this can be pre-snap, post-snap, post-read, different things depending on what you're doing. Now, when people talk about RPOs, the reason it can be is because it is so versatile for us. I can't run the tag scheme and run a mesh point RPO because my backside guy is, he could be chasing, and now I run the risk. Quarterback can't have his eyes in two places. So everything kind of has to, you kind of have to have an idea of what goes well with the other ones. Now, I can have post-snap bubbles, which you'll see in some film, and I can have, as long as I am running the GH counter, as long as I'm splitting the S back, which I've gotten away from doing a whole lot because my quarterback is generally one of my more dynamic runners where I've been. We can definitely split that backside tackle. As long as you don't have to read him, you can run any mesh point RPO. If you have to read him, it's got to go to pre-snap or post-read RPOs. The if-thens down at the bottom, if I'm consistently getting a squeeze and bounce of the play, then my answer is rocket. If I'm getting consistent backside pressure, guys chasing it down, then I need to make sure that I'm reading that guy. And if the outside linebacker on the play side is playing into the scheme, now I know that my then is I need to have a bubble RPO, something to control that guy on the play side. So my play call, my playbook looks just like this for every play we have, and kind of just rolls through that way. That's what it looks like from that's our number one set. That personnel group for us is called Jets. So Jets just tells the S that he is going to line up as a sniffer back. He is going to be 1 yard behind the backside tackle, or I'm sorry, the left tackle, not necessarily backside, but left. And he is going to be thatching the outside leg of that tackle. So that's thatching is a wing T term I learned when I first came up for the wing backs and slot backs on different alignments, where that is splitting the outside leg of the end man on the line of scrimmage. So what I tell the kids is you want to put his outside leg where your ding ding would hang. So that's kind of how they line up. We don't necessarily have formations. We have formation adjusters. So if I wanted the S on the right, I have just a term that moves him to the right. And so unless he sees that term, no matter what the personnel, no matter what, he is on the left in whatever personnel group position he's assigned. So I don't necessarily have, twins eye right, king, queen, strong right, split left. I don't necessarily have that. I have a term that talks to the S and the Y, and then a few terms that talk to X and Z that move them. But they're basically, for the most part, by default, we are always in 2x2. That's what it looks like to the right, and that's what it looks like to the left. Drawn up kind of sloppy because I like to use PowerPoint instead of all the fancy stuff, because I've learned when I leave jobs, if I don't share my stuff quick enough, they lock me out and they have it and I don't, and that kind of ticks me off. So that's what it looks like. So individual drills you need to install. This needs to be done prior to trying to installing the play. So for our quarterbacks, we have a mesh drill, and that's not mesh, the air raid play. It's the running back quarterback mesh. We do run the mesh air raid drill, by the way, too, but you don't need it for this play. But anyway, so the mesh drill, you'll see it. We do a circle mesh drill, and it takes 5 minutes. And we usually do a different mesh every day. And then as we get it installed and as the season rolls along, we generally do more than one a day. We usually do left and right, 2.5 minutes to the right, 2.5 minutes to the left, and then we move on. If we're doing more than one, then we go 1 minute to the right, 1 minute to the left of each one, and try to get, because it takes a little more transition time, so I allow about a minute for transition. And then they do a ball security drill to take care of coming out of the mesh and getting the ball high and tight, and putting it away and making sure it's in the right spot if we do have an RPO read and things like that after a mesh read. The running backs, of course, they need the same mesh drill because they're taking a handoff. The wheel drill is more for the S-back. That's his pull technique, and his seal drill. That is when he's play side of counter. Our wide receivers, they need stance drill, release on the line, and run fit drill. That is so that they are constantly – we run our blocks with our wide receivers the same way with the same rules that we run routes. So if we're running an outside run, they're going to take an outside route release. And if we're running an inside run, they're going to take an inside route release. And we always do that online, and that's part of their EDD endo stuff. And then our run fit drill is just basically fitting your hands, popping your hips, getting your head out. Probably the same thing most everybody does. We don't make that a big tempo drill, big wear 'em out drill. What I'm really concerned about is that once they've done their release and they have won the leverage they need to run, that they are able to understand where their hand placement goes, pinching the elbows together, getting the pinkies together, looking through the thumbs. So there's not a big contact drill there. And then our offensive line, they're the guys that make it all go. It doesn't matter what else we do anywhere else, and it's not just for counter for me. We can't run mesh if they can't pass pro. We can't run screens if they can't release on time and get in a good phase with each other. So the offensive line for me is the most important thing, which is probably because I played quarterback, never played offensive line a day in my life. And I knew that if those guys didn't cover my butt, then we weren't going to be very good. So offensive line, they do a stance drill, stance and starts every day. The individual blocks they will need to tie into each position and what their rules are. So we got down blocks for the play side tackle, play side guard, their endo and all that. Previously, before you go to install, the back blocks, the trap block, and then the close and slam and hinge. If you're a zone team, I would recommend, as you go to put this in, if you are a zone team, that you teach zone steps and just zone away from the counter, because that way you're stealing time in another drill. Since I'm not a zone guy and I used to be a double team guy, but then I learned I don't spend enough time on double teams because I need to throw the ball, that I now just do everything with an angle down and try to wall. And then because defensive line guys, they get twice as much defeating double teams as I was ever putting into double teaming. And I'm getting pissed off at Billy and Bobby because, I'm not giving them enough time. So I just got away from that, and I trust that you're going to coach your kids. When my guy down blocks, you're going to squeeze, and I'm going to get a little movement there. But whatever your thing is, that's what you need to do. If you're a zone guy, zone it. If you're not, don't. If you're gap, decide whether you can spend enough time double teaming. So our circle mesh drill, the purpose is pre-practice. Kids come out. It is full speed through the line of scrimmage and then jog to the next line. You'll see it. I've had to modify this tremendously with the new school I'm at, where you go from having 30 to 40 kids out, which was a small school anyway, but 30 to 40 kids to now are 17 to 25 that I have. So I've had to modify this greatly. I will always have 2 stations, even if it means a quarterback at one of the stations is maybe an assistant coach, just so we can get a little bit of warm-up conditioning and stuff like that in. I will, at the new school I'm at, my quarterback is going to play quarterback, but my backup quarterback is going to be a wide receiver tailback. So he's going to get every other day of this. He won't get it every day. And then we'll be able to try to get him caught up on that. I will also bring as small as 7th graders up just to give us guys to run these drills, as you're going to see. So you can see the coaching points there. I don't have to read them, I don't think. It depends on what you're running. The first step of the quarterback is all dependent on the play of the day, and we give them a play of the day in the run game, and then we give them a mesh. So that's what the setup looks like if I have 4 quarterbacks. If I only have 2, then they are facing each other. They are not right. And, they're not running. It would be basically these guys right here, either the guy on the 35 or the guy down here on the 5, or the guy on the numbers and the guy on the numbers over here on the 20 and 20. So that's the way we set it up. I got every receiver and every running back in this drill. So because when we run jet sweep, we run stuff like that, I'll incorporate those meshes into this as well, and you'll get to see a little bit of that. But that's the setup, and kind of this is what it does. They snap it, he gets it, he goes through, goes to the next line, he becomes a snapper. When they're jogging to the next line after they cross the line of scrimmage, they do ball exchanges, and then they go with a finish. That kind of gives them something fun to do. So as they cross, their full speed, 2 hands through the line of scrimmage. Once they get through the line of scrimmage, they are carrying the ball in their right arm. Then they're going to go over the top, bring it back, carry it in their left arm, and they're supposed to get 3 exchanges. And then their final before they get can be a spin move, can be a stiff arm, can be a high knee. I don't care what they do. I just want them to know that they're finishing, and we want to make sure that we finish every run. When I've had coaches before in the past, when they would get to the finish, what I would have them do is with a dummy, and they would kind of just throw the dummy at it, and they'd lower their shoulder and kind of truck and simulate that. So I'm really cheating other drills that we do in the air raid, and then I learned in coming up with the air raid in each drill, and you'll kind of see that. And so here's the mesh read drill. It's the same drill, but now I've added a read to it so that my quarterback might now keep it. The quarterback will go back to whatever station he's working at. They don't circle. So the running backs, the receivers, they circle. So generally these are coaches. I have my inside receiver coach, which I'm fortunate that I do have 4 coaches, even at a small school. They're going to be working with skill guys. I will have a coach at each thing, and all he's doing is giving a step down read for the quarterback, and he's just getting used to getting his eyes on the backside. And then the Rex drill. Rex is a term that we use for our bash. Rex simply means right end X'd out or right end read by the quarterback. So in this case, we would be running counter trade to the left, but running sweep to the right and reading the right end. So to my offensive line, they don't have any idea any of this is going on. I don't want them to know any of this is going on, because the donut eater up there is going to go, now what's that Rex mean, coach? I'm not real certain I know what to do on Rex. You don't need to know. You just need to know what loco means. Loco tag, whatever it is you're calling it. Oh, I know what that means. Well, then do it, Billy Bob. Go ahead and run it. And that just kind of helps for us. So while we're doing this, the offensive line's down doing their thing. Usually in this is early pre-practice, so they're probably doing stances and starts and stuff like that, sets on the line, all that good stuff before they get into their pods. This is our rope drill. Rope for us is right option the end. So we are sprint option right at the right defensive end. What I don't let my quarterback read it a whole lot. I want to pitch it. So what I tell him is attack the guy, run right at the inside hip of the play side tackle. It's going to disappear inside. If the end can tackle the T, keep it. If he can't, pitch it, because I don't want you holding it a long time and getting hit, because you're valuable, even not as valuable as a center, but you're pretty valuable. So as you're getting it and you go downhill, if that guy is out leveraged by the T, pitch it right now. Don't hold on to it. Pitch it right now. And we'll run that both left and right. And then we get into our jet drill, and they move out to wide receivers, and we will do a jet sweep handoff, and we will eventually tie all of that in with our Rex reads and our Lex reads and our rocket and our laser reads and all that stuff that talks about how we get the different power read and bash read and stuff like that. So that's our circle mesh drill. We do that every day. It's pretty fun. Maybe not so much for the guys doing all the running, but it's pretty fun for the coaches, and we get to do something in it. Our running back double team read drill. When you run double teams, we've gotten away from it, but I've kept this this in the presentation because of some people that want to run double teams. We run double teams a little bit different. We don't run where either guy can come off. We're a gap scheme team, and the reason we're a gap scheme team is to take advantage of angles. So if I'm going to double a 3 technique, the last thing I want to do, if I'm doing that simply to take advantage of the down block angle, is tell my freaking guard he's got to overcome that 3 technique to the outside, let my tackle come off. So if we're going to do that, we have to teach our running back where the hole is based on the fact that our outside guy is never coming off a double team, only our inside guy. So this is kind of what the drill looks like right here. the linemen aren't there. These are trash cans. And so as he's pressing this, he's understanding that our double team is going to work off on an A-gap entry play side. So as he comes, once he scrapes over the top of A-gap, I'm going to put my foot in the ground and come back. So if he's a fast flow reader, and as soon as that guard pulls, he's flat scrape over the top. If he is an A-gap, kind of a step down into A and then fill through A, then our guard will come off of him, and now he needs to carry it on out into where the hole is. So that's just a double team drill that we do. We don't do anymore because we don't double team anymore. So that's eliminated a 5-minute segment of practice I used to have to do, which I'm all for. Great. And then the O-line, they're doing the same thing. So as you see here, wherever that linebacker enters, if the one on the right, if he's entering, that's our 6, just signifies that that's our counter to the right, and 5 is our counter to the left. So if we're running 6 and we get that double team, if that linebacker, any player actually, tries to come through A-gap, then the play side guard is going to come off and seal A-gap. If he doesn't, if nothing ever comes through A-gap, then they should be driving that defensive tackle as far vertical as they can, even if it means cutting off the free safety. But as soon as somebody tries to come inside, then the guard comes off. So that's how we do it left and right. Then we have our O-line tag pull drill. We always do tag pull drill just simply because it teaches both things, and we do a separate closing hinge or slamming hinge drill. So anytime we're working the trap of the guard, we're going to go ahead and have the tackle pull with him. That's the way we set it up. This is a backside pod, and I'll get to that, how that's all set up a little bit later. But this is a backside pod, so we're running 6 tag, tackling guard. We have somebody with a dummy, or we have another player. Usually it's the next tackling guard. One of them simulating the defensive end, and one of them simulating the linebacker. This is with a kick and a lead. So as we pull to trap the end, he's kickable. We go ahead and kick him. The important things that you're coaching up here are the downhill pull by the backside guard. He doesn't want to pull flat. He wants to try to pull downhill through the hip of the center and then keep on a downhill angle. The coaching point for the backside tackle is he wants to be in phase with the guard, 1 yard deeper than the guard and 1 yard behind the guard. That way he can adjust to the trap, whether that is a kick or whether it is a log or a seal block. You can adjust. If you're right on his butt, you just can't really adjust, and you end up, a lot of times we'll end up with the guard getting logged and then the tackle gets cut off, and if their phase is bad. So we know when we're seeing that a bunch, we need to go back and do this and drill it. So that's the base and kick of it. That's what the base kick looks like. If we're getting a log with a hard squeeze, that's what it'll look like, because if he's squeezing hard, usually 90% of the time, a good team, when the end is squeezing hard on the down block, the play side linebacker is going to fit right where he left and show up right outside of him. And so we try to drill that and let that work the same. But again, the phase is what you're coaching on the backside tackle, and then the downhill pull and adjust is what you're coaching with the guard. And then we get a kick sometimes where you're going to get like a 3-3 stack team. And what happens is the end comes up, invites the kick, and then the stack linebacker comes inside. They like to do that because they don't really know necessarily where your read's coming from. And this is all flex bone stuff. So I've got some wing tee background. I've got some flex bone background. I was a Tony Franklin system client. I met with the OU staff. I've met with some people. And so it's just a collaboration of everything that I felt like kind of helped us get better in high school. I love the flex bone practice routine. So this is part of that. And then our QB read and RPO drill. This is the endo part. We do a shell drill that works a little bit different. But when we're running a bubble 1 tag, when we know that that's going to be in the plan, then we'll leave that. And this is a 5-minute period. And we'll have the end there or not. We'll tell him it's always a pull. If we don't have enough people, and we will set up our corner and we will take our read. Anytime we are doing a bubble read, we are saying we are reading the outside linebacker. Anytime. Doesn't matter if it's bubble 1, doesn't matter if it's bubble 2, doesn't matter if it's bubble 3. We're reading the outside linebacker. So on this case, we would call, say, 6 tag bubble 1. And so the quarterback knows, or 6 tag read bubble 1. The quarterback knows he's first going to read the end. And if the end squeezes, he's going to pull it and attack the outside linebacker. And if the outside linebacker comes, he's going to throw throw it out. If the end doesn't squeeze, doesn't chase, he just gives to the T, and we're not worried about it. So that's how we call that. If we wanted this same blocking scheme without a read of anything and just throw the bubble, we would change it a little bit in the terminology, throw it now. And it's really tough for us because we just say, 6 tag, that would be maybe our XYZ receiver, 6 tag X bubble now. And now he's not read, just throwing it out there now. And that's how we tie some false keys into our fast screen game. Everybody always accuses me of oversharing too, Coach, with what we do. So, and I don't mind that. I just kind of like to talk ball. So this would be our bubble 2 tag after a read. So this would be 6 tag read bubble 2. Again, we're still reading the outside linebacker, and we got to get the corner block. So for our quarterback, it's just a matter of the angle of who he's throwing to, not so much his reads. It stays consistent. This is the same thing here with one of our motions. So we have tagged a motion to the T. He's going out. This would be, we have 2 different ways that we do this. With the tag read, it's an automatic bubble 2. And so what we're saying here is pre-snap, they have already put a man in this outside grass. And so we don't have to move him to read. So we're going to set him out there to go ahead and set up our bubble 2 read to that guy. We would do that. Some people would say, well, why would you do that? Well, because sometimes by just putting 2 receivers in or 2 backs in the backfield, we can get a team to rotate to a look we like. That puts them in a single high shell, and we still want to be able to run what we're doing. So we can dictate where you're going by putting another running back there and get you out of that quarters, palms, read, look, stuff that may be a little bit more difficult for our quarterback. So we do this and can still run our RPO stuff that we want to run. And then this is how we get the triple option. So we have got a 6 tag read with a lope tag. And remember, lope was left option on the end if we're running speed option. Rope was right option on the end. So now when we tag it with our tag read, we're taking that read 1 man out and still doing with the outside linebacker. And that just gives him a little bit different angle of entry that he's attacking right there. And it becomes triple option football, flex bone football. And then we got the motion. And this is another way we hide it. If the safety is rolling, we like to be able to go ahead and do something with that. So to set up our shots downfield, our tag run game is a great thing for that. Because if they roll, we're still hitting somebody, possibly with the running back could actually pop one with the safety rolling away from where we're going. And eventually a lot of teams will quit rolling that free safety down. And now we've got a great football play to either run or throw the football out there to that guy. So it's the same play, that you just saw with our lope action and with our bullet action and with our bubble 2 action. It's just bringing a different guy to do it. So for our quarterback, it's not that big a deal. And now we've got, this would be an example of a post-snap read RPO with a slant. And when we tag our slant, we are reading the first defender inside the slant receiver. So this is a number 1 receiver running the slant. So we would read the first linebacker inside of him. If it were a number 2 linebacker, it might actually end up being an inside linebacker that we're reading. But that's our rule for our slant. And so since this is still tagged with our counter tray action, we're reading that backside in first, 6 tag read, and then whatever the receiver's letter is, whatever you call that guy, L slant, L, whatever your number system is, makes me no difference. We're still going to attack it the same way we did those other plays. So now we get the outside linebacker coming, the corner reading it and forcing hard and just beating the piss out of my wide receiver out there because he's being told, you got to defeat that block. Well, now we just run a slant. Here he comes thinking we're going to be running some kind of bubble or something out there, and all of a sudden he breaks it in. We throw it behind that guy, and we've gotten some big plays off that. There it is with the inside receiver. We'd like to run this one when we are getting that kick look, and when it's getting hard on our offensive line. They're bouncing it, and when we bounce it, that linebacker's kicking our butt, and the other linebacker's sitting out there. So what we're just simply going to do is we're going to try to slow him down by going ahead. As you can see, we've split this. We've got somebody assigned to the backside end, so we are not reading this. We can't have our eyes in 2 places at once. We're not reading the end. We are strictly eyeing that inside linebacker for the inside receiver on the slant. If he fast fills, we're going to pull it out and throw it right where he left. We teach our receiver on that 1 yard above the read man. Go right where he's at, get 1 yard above. So if he's at 5, you should be at 6. If he's at 4.5, you should be at 5.5, and get there now. His job is to get inside the outside linebacker. There it is with the outside guy. And again, we've split it still, but we did that simply because the slant has to happen a little bit later. So we can't have our eyes in 2 spots. And so we just simply tag this one as a post-snap read. So you've seen it pre-snap with the outside and post-snap with the outside. There's a front side. Again, because his eyes are front side, we have to do something with the backside end. So in this case, this would be not out of tag. This would be out of our base counter. This would be out of a tag split look, whatever. But as you can see, even on the front side, because it's a bubble, we're reading the outside linebacker. And it's all the same, just takes you through each receiver and how they do it. And then the mesh read drill, I've already shown you that. All right, so we're going to get into play side pods. So obviously we don't have this many players, so we're not doing all this. I put this on here so you can see. The way we do this is if we're running, say our play of the day is counter, we're going to set up the defenders to be where each front could be. It takes a lot more time in the spring and in your August installs because, well, you're getting ready for everything. But when we're getting ready to play a common opponent, we pretty much know they're an odd front team, and we give them this look. They're going to slide to a shade to the weak side and walk the outside, or a shade to the strong side and walk the other outside. We know what they're going to do, so we tend to stay in the pods looks that we're going to see that week. But what we'll do is we'll say this is an odd front team. In this case, what you're looking at here, the top one would be just your base strong side, 4-2-5, 4-3, over front with a 1 back, 3 strong, backside linebackers in B gap. So we're going to set them there on the first snap. The play side tackle, play side guard, and the center are going to the man, and they are just getting used to following my rule. So you go down to the next one, and now they bump to an under front. The defensive tackle has moved to a 1. The other defensive tackle on the backside has moved to a 3. So now they're just following their man inside, gap down backer rule. So as you can see, and then on the bottom one, on the left, we're still running 7, but now we've got an Eagle 50. Why we'd run 7 against an Eagle 50 with a 5-man line is beyond me, but crap, sometimes I might do it. And that's what it would look like. We're going to block back with the center, down with the guard, down with the tackle, and we'll run through those. And the defensive guys, the scout guys, get used to doing it. So they'll run a play in 1 and then slide to 2 and then slide to 3 and then come back to 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. And it's over and over and over for 2.5 minutes or 5 minutes, depending on where you're at. Meanwhile, we go 5 minutes on the front side of 7, then the right guard, right tackle are somewhere else doing the backside pods. They're not even together. So that's kind of how we practice that. So the backside pods look like that. So the S, the super back, is with the backside guys, and that's how we do that over and over and over and over and over. So they're not practicing together. They're in 2 separate areas. Our S-back coach learns to handle both the front side and backside part of the offensive line. Hopefully they don't have to do that a whole bunch because the offensive line coach rotates back and forth if I don't have 2 offensive line coaches. But that's how we get to that. Now, I'm not sure what the next slides go. Okay, so on this backside pod drill, they're doing that over and over and over so we can give them different looks. But the front side is going to stay with that no matter what. Where the backside guy might go, okay, we're going switch here. We're going 7 switch. So now as they go through the drill, the guard and the S switch. We're going 7 tag here. Now it's tackling. We're going 7 dart. And the tackle always go, I don't know what the crap the guard did on that play right there. I'm slamming and hinging. I say, okay, well, I guess you need to start paying attention because they're putting it there in a lot of underfront this week. And we need to make sure that we're getting that 3 technique blocked. We may need you to pull on dart this week. Oh, okay. And they learn it pretty daggum quick. So anyway, that's how we do that. We'll tag in our words that put us in power read. We'll tag in our words that put us in, the other Rex and Lex. We hardly ever say that to them because they're actually pulling opposite. But with our power read stuff and our front side stuff, like the speed option, we will tell them that, and the backside pod drill so they get used to hearing that and associating that with wheel instead of kick. But that's how we run that, and we can get through on the backside in 5 minutes, we can usually get through most of our backside adjustments after about the first week every day. And so it becomes pretty, we're going to do a minute of 7, and we're going to do a minute of 7 tag, and then we're going to do a minute of 7 switch, and then we're going to do a minute of 7 rocket, then we're going to do a minute of, and it just seems to work for us, and our guys pick it up. And our 2s, if we got them, are rolling in there as well. And then we usually use third string guys to hold bags, and they'll get fewer reps and stuff like that. Not sure what it's going to be like here, because I think we got 8 linemen. So I'll have to be a little bit innovative with who's holding those bags. I've got 2 sons that are in the 7th and 8th grade, so they may get the crap beat out of them. That'd be fine with me. Inside run is what everybody does. It's where we put it all together. I do inside run very specifically. So if we're in the counter family, that's all we're running. We may run counter right for 5 minutes and counter left for 5 minutes. I'm not interested in winning the drill. I'm interested in getting better. We will have those defensive guys that want to win the drill. So they'll put 9 guys in the box and say, and we got our 5. Don't give a crap. Sometimes we'll run our 2 tight end looks out there. They may only have 5 guys in the box on defense because, that defensive coordinator is trying to report. I could care less. I could care less what they're in, how close it relates to what we're seeing on Friday. Here's what I care about. I care as a head coach, I cared that my defensive guys were getting some work. So I had my defensive coordinator. He had to have an odd front package and he had to have an even front package. I could care less which one he wanted to base out of, which one he wanted to run the most, but he had to be able to do both, so that we could at least practice our stuff against our offense during these type drills. So my seconds were getting better at something if it wasn't offense. So what I care about is if the team we're playing runs nothing but odd front. I've got all 10 games. I haven't seen anything but I want an odd front look, obviously. But if they slide back and forth, I tell my coordinator, I tell the defensive coach, hey, run your stuff and just be more odd front this week or be more even front this week. They love to blitz. Blitz if you want to. Don't blitz. We're going to do a separate blitz pickup period later, so we'll run the ball in that too. So do what you want to do, but we're going to focus on this. I don't want to worry about the defense a whole lot. So anyway, so in our inside run drill, I want our defense to get a little bit better, but we're focusing on one play. Counter left for 5 minutes at the beginning of the season, and then counter right. So we're doing 10 minutes in inside run, to where we get later on in the year, we're doing 5 minutes in inside run, 2 minutes to the left, 2 minutes to the right. We will eliminate some of the outside run parts of the family in this particular drill, because we might run speed option, but we're not going to run, the power read necessarily in this. We'll run it in our team outside run and sweep and screen period later. And so that's kind of how that looks. Inside run looks just like everybody else's, unless you're at team camp, and then those 3-3 stack teams will tell you we're going to have 9 guys in the box and play man-to-man and leave that guy uncovered. And then when they're in scale, they'll have 9 guys in pass protection and say whatever. So that's what it looks like right there. And that's my information. That's my current cell phone number. Anybody that needs me can text me on that or call me on that. I probably won't answer a call. So leave a voice message if I don't know your number, because I get a lot of, insurance calls and stuff like that, want me to buy stuff. And then that's my current email address, because I'm moving schools. Haven't got my school account set up, and that one stays with me, so that's pretty easy. The C on coach on that, I've noticed, is capital. It shouldn't be. It's lowercase, and it does matter in Yahoo's. That's why I like Gmail a little bit better. But that's my my information. Try to get some film to you here. So I'm going to stop share and then bounce to Coach, you got any questions on any of that, or do you want to wait till after film? Or
Sorry, I was on mute. No, the pods were awesome. I'm definitely taking that back to my O-line coaches, and guys, I think this might be a better way. It's definitely something, breaking it up that way. And I do have a varsity O-line coach and a lower level O-line coach where we can do that kind of stuff. So it's definitely something that was awesome. But no,
I got just some film stuff here.
All right.
I'll try to keep it short, because I know everybody runs. And what you're going to see is a bunch of mistakes without a shadow of a doubt. You're going to see on the offensive line here, I think I had 4 sophomore starters last year. So it was a learn by fire type deal. And I think there's 2 years worth in here. But this is just the counter. Can you see that, Coach?
Yep.
Okay, so this is just counter. This is going to be counter to the right. Probably not a big play. There you go. This is when we were trying to double team. And you can see here, we get vertical movement. So that's pretty good. That guy, running back, should have cut back right there as soon as that backer scraped over the top. And I don't know if there's an end zone shot on this one or not. You see my fat guard waddling out there, and he doesn't pull downhill. This is early in the season. We kind of stink. And then we got no explosive running backs. And so to us, that was a great explosive play right there. I know it's hard for somebody to believe. All right, and here's the end zone shot. That's actually late in the game, so we must be way up with the guys that are in there. But you see the terrible job. This is the right tackle. Look at the right tackle right here. All right, so this kid, I love him to death. He's a great kid, high character kid. His dad was our varsity basketball coach, and he was a kid that was 6 foot tall and thought he was a post player in basketball. Came out for football and was always afraid. He claims he wasn't, but you can watch here, number 64 at right tackle. Tell you what kind of physicality I'm working with. Look at that. I mean, that is unreal. But anyway, he's a great kid, and we were able to run right behind his butt for 9 yards. Yay. All right, this is this team has been ranked in the top 25 in the USA Today, and I mean they are much better. You can look at their butts and tell they're much better than we are. But this is Shiloh Christian High School. They had a National Gatorade Player of the Year. Gus Malzahn was the coach there. They are the real deal, and we're happy if we pick up a yard here. So you see they get the hard squeeze. There they well coached. He actually squeezes too tight. We do trap him inside. We're able to get out. And no idea here. This is probably just still counter. So that's kind of where we start. We don't run that one a whole lot. We run it, but I prefer the tag aspect of it, and so I'll get to that. In the tag play, one thing that I get a lot of questions on when people see us is I run a play called Q follow. And so it's pretty interesting. I had to learn from it, so I can show you that and show you the progression of learning. All right, so this is a backside RPO. You saw this in the drills. This would be 7 tag read bubble 1. So there's his read of number 62. 62 chases, he pulls, outside linebacker comes, we just throw it out, becomes triple option football. You guys are all probably doing that. No big deal. But just showing you how we practice it is what's important to me, not just this is what we do, and then leave you kind of wondering, well, how can I fit that into practice? That's what I like to do in our stuff. So this guy right here was our most explosive running back, and you can see he runs a 5.1 40. I have 3 guys on the field that run below a 5 flat 40. It's quarterback, number 3 out here, and number 10, wherever number 10 is. Only kids I have that are sub 5 flat 40s. So they're running him down. This guy was about a 5'2", 40 guy, and he runs out of bounds. I keep telling him, you can't be a 5'2" guy and freaking run out of bounds. But anyway, this right here, you're going to see this guy shoot. We miss him. One of the bad things right here, why I want to put this on, even though it's not because it's a touchdown, but if we're pulling downhill, this can happen to you, especially with a jug butt like my right guard right here. So he pulls, and he gets a 4-eye that's screaming upfield, and he doesn't get to him. But because of our aiming point, which I don't think I talked about, is the inside leg of the play side guard, we are able to go ahead and be where it needs to be. What you're seeing right here, I talked earlier, and I didn't get to it, is that when they put their whole thing here, because we run counter trey, is they put a 4-eye on each side, and they're told to scream. And they're told to cut off the backside puller, and they're told to take on and shorten the trap. So what we did here is we call this idiot. So my left tackle right here is screaming, idiot, idiot. And what he's saying is, hey, this guy's inside and I can't block him down. I can't handle him. And so we use I for inside, and then the kids could remember idiot. So they're screaming, idiot, idiot. He's letting the right guard in this case know, hey, this is going to happen quick. Be downhill and be quick. And then based on our call, like right here, he has a nickel call for pass protection or a 5-0 call. I don't really know, and I don't really care as long as everybody's on the same page. So if this is a 5-0 call, he should go out to the overhang backer to the hammer off the left edge. If it's a nickel call, he is saying we got the 5 in the box, and now he's going to go to the inside backer. So we'll see which one he goes to, and I'll be able to tell you which one pass protection. He's going out, so they had a 5-0 call saying that was a threat for blitz if we were to throw the football. So our pass protection calls do tie into our run calls. So that's kind of it. The end zone shot, same team, different play. Again, he's coming up, but we're probably a little bit better. It's just later in the game. They're not all touchdowns. I thought I had some really piss-poor ones on here. This one's pretty good. This team's not very good, but the fat left guard, we must have thrown it a lot more this year than we did run it. What you'll find when I'm looking at my offensive line is if we feel like we're in a situation where we have to throw it a lot, you'll see the 2 jug butts at guards to keep our pocket solid on the inside. And then our faster guys on the outside, we're probably running more dart in our run game that season as well. If you see jug butts at tackle and quicker guys at guard, I probably feel like we're better at running the football and that they're better pass protectors on the inside. So it just depends on where I'm moving. So it's not unusual. Matter of fact, the next year, the left guard here is playing center half the year and at left tackle. And we had some kids move up that were a little bit better suited for guard. So that's kind of, how I said it. Number 74 is playing at NEO. He's the only college lineman I've had. So he's decent hand, Division II kid. You'll see it here. My huge left tackle, boy, and he's physical. He's a little Hispanic kid, about 5'6", about 160 pounds soaking wet. So he's my left tackle, blind side, from quarterback and all that. It worked out real well. Anyway, so I'm going to try to find the play everybody asked me about. I should have it on here. So it's called Follow. It's quite interesting, and I've given a couple different clinic talks on it. And I'll take you through the progression of what we learned in it. Stole it from Lincoln Riley, just watching football. All right, so this is the evolution. First time we ever ran it. So as you see it here, that's not the first time we ever ran it. That's the second time we ran it. But, all right, so what we've got going on here is this is just wing T football. If you can imagine this, you're a wing T guy. Here's your wing back. That's your fullback. That's your tailback. And your quarterback is moved out here into a slot instead of being up here under center. So what we're doing here is we're running counter tray to the right with a bubble read going to the left. And when we first started out, we had a dual read. And I'm not very smart. It takes me a while to learn stuff. And so my quarterback is reading this guy, and if he chases, he's going to pull it. And if he pulls it, he's then going to read the next man outside and throw a bubble or not. If the next man chases the bubble, he's going to keep it and follow the running back. Seems very complicated, very difficult, and it seems like one of those things that, well, that's neat. And then it was neat. And here we go, we run it, and it works pretty well here. So we move, he gets blocked back on, so he pulls it, the guy widens, so he pulls it. So I'm thinking, man, well, that's a great football play. And it was pretty handy. Watch it from the end zone shot. You're going to see this guy get blocked back on by the center. This is the second time we ran it. Center shouldn't do that, to be honest, but I understand why he did. It could have been the 5-0 call saying we're going to make this guy bump the read out one to that guy. I don't really know what we give them a lot of freedom to make their jobs easier. But you see, we pick up the T after the play fake. We pick up the T, and he now is there for anybody that might show up. Like that safety right there works out pretty well. Right. I don't want that one just yet. I don't want to show where we got by the end of the year. I want to get to how we learned. Crap on a cracker. All right. That's the one we just had. So I have no idea where the one is that we learned. All right. So this is later. We make the adjustment at halftime. But here's what I learned during this game. We ran this earlier, and here we go. And the guy we're reading by the quarterback gives him a pull read, which is chase flat down the line, and he's behind these two guys. And my quarterback, this guy, chases the bubble like he's doing right now. And my quarterback pulls it down and goes to follow. And this fat sucker right here makes a play. And I'm screaming at my quarterback when he gets over there. I don't scream anyway, but as much as I scream at my quarterback, I'm going, hey, you've got to make that read and blah, 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 blah. And I chewed his butt. We get in it. Offensive line coach brings me down the little iPad thing because I won't look at it during the plays. He brings it down and he says, hey, you might want to look at this before you rip our all-state quarterback who's going to the Naval Academy for making the wrong read. And I go, okay. So he hands it to me and he goes, here's his read. He was right. It's a pull read. Yep. But what? Okay, so this guy chases the halfback, no bubble. So when I follow it, the fat kid has stopped playing. He thinks I've chased, I've forced the quarterback to pull, I've stopped playing, and then the quarterback runs right into him and he gets a give me tackle. So I'm like, all right, we got to work on that. So we sent him for this game, we sent him back, sent the center back to block that guy and moved the read out. And it worked out well for that game. But then it evolved to this. All right. So we changed it to we want our court, like I told you before, our tailbacks are 5'2", 40 guys. And our running back is our quarterback is a 4'5", 40 guy. He's going to the Naval Academy. He's pretty good. If you're a defensive coordinator, how often now are you going to chase and say, well, you know what, we want the quarterback to carry it instead of the guy who's an explosive play is 7 yards. So we figured out that if we eliminate this and say, if we're getting a give all night long by our quarterback, we need to go ahead and add the follow to it. So what you're about to see here is what we evolved to. We know that this guy is not interested at all in tackling the running back. He is sitting in there saying, please, please, please get it. So this is what we did. We said, okay, you are now going to pre-snap. You're going to say, is anybody in position to tackle the bubble? Yes. Okay. So we motion it, and if he widens with the bubble at all, we're going to stick it in the belly as we're reading him. And if he widens with the bubble, we're going to pull it out and follow the quarterback. So we basically, or follow the tailback. We basically just move the read out to that guy. This guy is no factor. We know he is not chasing the tackle on the pull. So this is what it evolved to, and it turned out to be much better for us. So there he goes in motion. Guy widens. I pull it down. Boom, boom, pick up, and out the gate. And you'll see we don't score here if we don't have the T to pick up that guy right there. It's a good play. It's a 6-yard play, but we don't have it. So there he goes. He sees it. We got a good job by that little fat waddler. You see him waddling out there at number 70. He never actually blocks anybody, but he's just in the right position and in the way. He's a sophomore. Look, he's celebrating. Like I done something. Pull out there, get in position, never touch the soul, and celebrate. That's alignment. And then here it is from the end zone shot. I'm not even sure. Yeah, 64 probably should have idioted that. That's the other kid you saw that was right tackle the year before. He's now my left tackle. He's even celebrating. He didn't do nothing either. Kind of titty bumps the big old kid. But that's what I love about what we do. They're also worried about different things that we really don't get beat up front very much. Here it is again, same play the next week, and look at all of them chasing. They're not chasing the T because they won't, they don't want our quarterback to carry it, and he ends up carrying it. And who is that? Our tight end here goes downfield. He hadn't blocked nobody. He still hadn't blocked nobody, and we score. And I'm sure all of your films look, great with everybody blocking the crap out of everybody they're supposed to block. That's what mine looked like right there. And we somehow still move the football. So we usually rush for about 2,500 yards and throw it for about 23, 24, 2,500 yards. But it's all about your dudes. And so my quarterbacks are all former tailbacks that I basically mold our passing game around them. Probably should have thrown this one out to the bubble because this guy's hammering off the edge. That ball should have been thrown. And he didn't. The same play from different camera angles. Here it is again. I don't know that I have one where he makes the throw. I probably weeded it out when I filtered. And then you see 23 here playing the swing. But that's the play everybody seems after the season's over to want to come. How are you reading that? I don't get it. And, they think it's a triple option read. This one is not. If we were triple option reading it, the quarterback would not be hitting backside here or play side. He would actually be reading this guy, pulling it, and then using the bubble as a triple option like flex bone. So, which we have that option too. I just didn't think anybody was a whole lot interested in that one as much because everybody does that one. But that's kind of what we do. We do it a lot. This was a playoff game. This team was a lot better than us. They kicked our butt. But that was, just kind of the evolution of what we got to and everything we do in counter. And that's it. We run about all of it with counter, and we just kind of blend it all together.
No, Coach, that's a really nice play. And, yeah, like once you have that quarterback running it a few times, like I originally started at Elmwood Park with a running quarterback that couldn't throw a lick. I don't think he gave the ball but 2 times in a whole season. So, like, he was like, yeah, Coach, I'm not giving him the ball. Like, you could put someone else back there. Give me a guard, like our second fastest guard. That would be nice. So I don't get my tail kicked by that middle linebacker.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to give him the ball ever. Like, I want the ball in my hand at all times.
Yeah, that was my 2 dudes. I had 2 dudes. One went to a Division II school, and one went to the Naval Academy, and they were dudes. And they didn't want, boy, you better really chase, or better really sit if you want them to give the ball. But they were good enough to make a guy miss, so I wasn't too bad with it.
Right, yeah, and in a couple of those clips, there was like 3 guys, and
yeah,
they weaved through and danced around, and but yeah, no, great stuff, Coach, great stuff. The if-then playbook. So you have that for every one of your plays, where at the bottom of that your playbook, you're going and putting your if-then statements, basically, of, well, when we see this, we're going to do that.
Yes, and I do that not necessarily – it helps me. It keeps me kind of tuned in. But I do that because I like for somebody else to call the plays at different levels. Mm-hmm. And I want them to the guys that want to aspire to be a head coach. It's kind of I don't know what you call it, petting my ego a little bit, I guess. Maybe complimentary, that people that coach under you, as soon as they leave you, don't want to go learn a whole new something new, but that they take what they learned under you because they feel good about it. So I want to give those guys everything that they can, not only to build a playbook that suits them, but to have answers and things in case defenses do different things. So I have that in the bottom of every run play, every pass play, every screen play, and just kind of give them a scenario. Because I don't use a play call sheet like a lot of people. I have reminders, but because of how we practice, I have a menu. So if you can imagine this, when you look at my play call sheet, I will have that script stuff. This is stuff I want to run on third and whatever. But I practice motions by themselves outside of plays so that we can tag that motion into any play. I practice backfield actions with every play so if I just see something in a game that follows my if-then, but it hasn't necessarily been something we thought was going to show up and may not be on my call sheet, I can refer to my menu and call it up, and the kids are pretty comfortable with it because even though we may not eat off everything off the menu in a game every week, we do practice everything on the menu in some way, shape, or form every week. So they feel pretty good about it.
Gotcha. And then, so what would you say is your favorite RPO to go off of the counter then? You've shown a bunch, but what would you say is your favorite overall?
Well, my favorite is the post-snap bubble.
Okay.
That's in the tag game because I usually have one wide receiver that can, that I want to get the ball in space too. And so I can get 3 kids involved using that with one less guy. If you're talking the one I use most when I'm running tag, that's it. If you're talking when I'm not running the counter tray, the GT, when I'm running one of the other forms, it's definitely the slant. Because when people are keying the S back, when he pulls, even safeties will rotate off that S-back crossing, and I can hit that wide receiver on a slant and hit him now and right up the seam. Or if they're going to stay in a one safety look, I can bring a number 2 in right where we're running from the front side and get them going that way, hit him going behind and hit it out the backside. I love the slant RPO with that, and I really love it out of the 2 tight end look. So when we go into our 2 tight end look, I do that a little bit different as well. I don't have that personnel package brings in 2 super backs. Okay. So one always stays on the left, one always stays on the right. They never swap when I'm in 2 tight ends. And they just follow their play side rule and backside rule. So basically I got 2 guys doing the same rule, just one's always play side, one's always backside. So what I can do there is I can be in the 2 tight ends. I can send the play side guy on a slant right over the linebacker and still get my kick and my pull by the backside guy. And I can read that he steps down, reading down and pull. Here he comes. I can hit it right over the top. And they're almost always in a single high safety look with that. So that works out pretty well.
Right. Yeah. No, and it's all about manipulating the defense to get something you want, right?
Yep.
2 questions left for you. One, I get this all the time from Nate Albaugh, the owner of Chief Pigskin, is he as a wing T guy, he feels as though his kids are never as good in pass protection. And then he was like, well, how do you get your kids ready for to come downhill and run block? And I'm like, well, we ran a lot of draw last year. We didn't have the kids that were super aggressive, looking kind of at a couple of your kids that kind of were doing some titty bumping, kind of same idea. Do you feel, just kind of get your opinion on this, do you feel that it's hard to get linemen to be great run blockers and great pass blockers?
Yeah, I do. But I don't know that that's I think that's an internal kind of, you could argue in the wing T or in anything that, they're really good at run blocking, but you're still going to have those guys that just don't have that grit in their gall a little bit, that aren't going to, you find a guy that's going to get into an alley fight with you. Shoot, mm-hmm. I mean, he's going to be an aggressive run blocker, whether you're in the spread, whether you're in the wing T, whether you're in, there's just some dogs that you can't get to bite. No matter what you do, you can't get to bite. And we teach it kind of backwards for air raid, I guess. And we definitely are an air raid team, but they know we're going to run the football. I mean, they take, matter of fact, we teach it as we're going to make our identity running the football, and then we're going to use the passing game to make your job easier so that you're attacking people who are defending the pass, not attacking people who are coming downhill trying to defend the run all the time. And then we tell them in the passing game, get run over slowly. We don't harp on, we're going to pick it up. We're going to know who we're blocking. We're a big protection team. All of our protection calls tie into our run game. So, I'm not asking them to rattle that helmet when they punch when threatened, and get run over slowly. I'd rather the quarterback get sacked with you getting run over than I would you whiff and him get blasted. Now he's out. So it is hard, but it's just one of those things that I feel like is if you can't get a passive dog to bite,
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. And I totally agree with you. And I mean, some years you just have them. You have the kids up front that are really aggressive, and they're going to come out there and they're going to knock some blocks off. And other years you just don't have that. Last one. As far as your receivers go, a couple of the clips, obviously you have a couple of kids that hang on real well. They engage and harass. How much are you really telling those kids to really engage and fight and battle upfield? Or are you really more leaning towards the just kind of harass, make sure, kind of like the one clip with the lineman running at the DB where the DB cowers? It's like, I don't want to take on the big guy.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. When it stops a touchdown play, I pretty much want them knocking the crap out of them and right. Driving the piss out of them and all that stuff. When the play works out really well and they've gotten, kind of one leverage and just kind of made the guy not get involved, but really didn't do anything, I don't harp. I mean, a lot of the kids that I've been able to get to come out and play football have been like, in that clip you saw, or most of those clips you saw, 3 of those kids didn't play before. 3 of those kids were kids I went and got from basketball that I sell on, look, if you'll just catch a hitch route, out route, and go routes, and then fall down or get out of bounds, I'll protect you. I won't run you on a slant. I won't get you blasted, and I have to keep that in mind too, because there's sometimes I got things open that I know are there, but that safety might blow that dude up. And, so I want them being physical. We start every practice before we do anything else, before we go to Noose and before we go to Pat and Go and before we get into we do 5 minutes on the sled with everybody, quarterback, offensive line, wide receivers, everybody. And that's just because I got tired of what you're saying, that I got kids that felt like they were route runners and I'm not going to block. I'll tell them no block, no rock, but I'm going to be honest. I got a kid here that's about 6'5", that's a basketball kid that has come out, looks great running routes, and I haven't seen him block yet. But I'm throwing him the rock, whether he blocks anybody or not, because he's 6'5", small school in the state of Arkansas. So, I'll try, but I'm not going to try to force them in. And I don't even try. We want our linemen to be physical, but a lot of times running out there and saying boo on some of the stuff we do works just as well. So
right. A lot of smoke and mirrors, right?
Yeah.
I hear you, Coach. Well, Coach Ernest, thank you so much for joining us today on the home clinic. Learned a ton of stuff. Really got a lot of great stuff. Kind of take back to my O-line coaches. And I know everybody watching the home clinic's going to get a bunch of great stuff too.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much.
So again, thank you guys for watching. If you like the content, please hit the like button down below. Hit subscribe so you get the most up-to-date stuff coming out from Chief Pigskin. Also, look us up at chiefpigskin.com, where you can see Under the Lights, where Nate Alba is joined by a co-host and then one special guest every night, where they kind of talk ball and life and everything that's going on in between, as we kind of make that transition to hopefully playing football here in the near future. All right. Thanks again for watching.